Every once in a while, a game comes out that defies all the conventions of gaming at that time and makes an impact on the gaming scene despite being quite different and even weird. Games like these may not reach the pinnacle of sales that more mainstream games do, but they still gain a following. That's the case with our game today, Katamari Damacy REROLL. REROLL is a remake of the game Katamari Damacy, which originally released on the PS2, and is a strange game that was able to garnish enough of a following that we have this remake for modern consoles. Katamari Damacy REROLL was developed by Monkey Craft Company Limited. It was initially released on the PC and Switch at the end of 2018, but was later released for the PS4 and Xbox One in 2020. Katamari Damacy REROLL is $29.99 across all platforms and is rated E. I'm playing the PS4 version here on the PlayStation 5. Katamari Damacy is a strange game and kind of defies classification. Lots of places call it a puzzle action game, and I guess that fits, but I'm not sure if it really encapsulates what Katamari Damacy is. I guess the best way to do that is to start talking about the specifics of the game and go from there. Let's start with the story. Katamari Damacy isn't exactly a story-heavy game, but there is a story. The premise of the game is that the king of all cosmos has knocked all the stars out of the sky along with some other celestial objects while intoxicated. The night sky is now dreadfully dark, and like any sovereign, he doesn't really take responsibility and passes off the responsibility of getting the stars back to his tiny son, the prince. While the king of all cosmos may be fabulous and powerful, he's not necessarily the greatest parent or the most responsible cosmic being. Even so, he's your guide as you set off to recreate the night sky and tells you what your goals are for each of the stars that you'll remake in the game. There is also a side story of sorts that takes the perspective of a human family, the Hoshino family. I can't say this added much for me, but it showed a family who is getting ready to go watch the father's launch as he's an astronaut scheduled to go on a mission for a moon landing. Most of the interactions are of the kids being aware of the stars disappearing or the activity of the king or prince, with the mother being oblivious or dismissive of the kids. The daughter, Michiru, will also exclaim how certain constellations have returned after those stages, as she seems to have some sort of connection to the cosmos. But overall, these are mildly humorous at best, but don't really add a lot in my opinion. They just are kind of strange more than anything else. The gameplay really isn't any more complex than the story. Basically, you're using the two analog sticks to roll the Katamari over objects that you find scattered throughout the level. There are certain combinations of actions that can allow you to get a burst of speed, or flip the prince to the other side of the Katamari, but these are the most complicated aspect to the controls, and if you're like me, you're not really going to use those all that often. When rolling the Katamari, you can only pick up things of a certain size. It has to be a certain amount smaller than the Katamari. But as you roll more things up, you can pick up more and more things. Sometimes it is kind of hard to figure out what you can or can't pick up at times, but after a bit, you'll get the hang of what you can roll up and what you can't at certain times. Also, if you run into items that you can't pick up too hard, you'll sometimes lose some of the items you rolled up in your Katamari. Personally, I really didn't like this mechanic and wish they didn't have it, but it is there, so it's something you really need to be aware of. In the majority of levels, you'll be trying to roll up as many things as you can to reach a certain size within a set time limit. This varies depending on the level that you're doing. There are also Constellation Stages that do mix this up a little bit, but only a very little bit. Constellation Stages tend to want you to roll up a certain type of item, but most of the time you pretty much still have to roll up everything. For example, in Make Cancer, you need to roll up crabs, because cancer is a crab. But the level is teeming with crabs, so you're pretty much wanting to roll up everything to get all the crabs, or get big enough to get the ones you can't get right away. Many of the stages also have a present from the king in them to find, which can be worn by the prince as an accessory. Later on, after beating every level once, or at least only beating the Make the Moon stage, there will be cousins in the stages, little creatures that are kind of like the prince that you can find and collect in the stages as well. There are really only 3 stages that have a goal that deviate in any substantial way from the basically roll up everything. In Make Ursa Major and Tauros, both want you to roll up only one bear or cow related item, respectively. This may not sound too bad, but if you're going for big things, you'll have to avoid annoying things like cow pattern traffic cones or milk cartons in Make Tauros, because those count. Or Make Ursa Major, you have to avoid, teddy bears or things like that. This can be kind of frustrating if you're trying for certain things like getting a present or a cousin, or trying to find the biggest cow or bear in the stage. In Make the North Star, it's basically like a normal level, only you are not shown your size in the level. You're then trying to make your Katamari as close to 10 meters as possible with that condition in play. This can be tough, but again, it's not terrible, and you can easily try again to try to improve if you want. There are certain stages that unlock a bonus mode called Eternal Mode if you complete the level's goal within a certain time. As the name suggests, it allows you to roll your Katamari there without a time limit. There is a limit of items in a stage though, so there will be a limit to how big you can get, but you don't have to worry about time being a factor. There is also technically a multiplayer mode, but I never really enjoyed these too much in these games. To be honest, I never played it in the remaster, but I never remembering those modes being a lot of fun. So I think this sums up what you can expect from Katamari Damacy. But why do I recommend the game? Now first, I really enjoy the gameplay here. It's strangely satisfying to roll up all the items, animals, and even people in the game. It's so much fun rolling up stuff to make your Katamari bigger, so you can roll up even bigger items. It's a great loop that makes for a lot of fun and changes enough up that it doesn't really get boring. I mean, unless maybe you're just kind of constantly playing it for really, really long periods of time. It's also really fun as you get bigger and can roll up cars, buildings, and even islands eventually, so you get this huge Katamari that it's just a lot of fun to see as everything getting rolled up. It's also just a type of game that's fairly unique, and you don't really see this too often. Even now, 10 years removed from the original, there aren't many games like it, and that kind of surprises me. I'm kind of surprised that there aren't more games that have kind of incorporated this rolling things up mechanic in them. I would have thought that in the last 10 years that there would be some games that would kind of incorporate that idea, but at least as far as I know, there's none. I could be wrong on that and just not know about those, but I'm not aware of any other games outside the Katamari Damacy series that use kind of rolling up items quite the same way. Second reason is the music is just amazing in this game. I played this on the PS2 and remembered really liking and enjoying the music. As I loaded this up for the first time and heard the opening, it all came back. Here, have a listen to a little bit of the opening here. This is just a start. I really enjoy the whole soundtrack, and they are just songs here that are a lot of fun to roll things up to and get stuck in your head, even when you're not playing the game. Third, while there isn't a lot of story to the game, the King of All Cosmos and Prince are just memorable characters that leave an impression. The Prince doesn't really speak or anything, but the contrast between the rather bombastic, lazy king and the hardworking but quiet son is just kind of amusing. Not to mention the design of the king is very memorable with his colors and his kind of weird proportioned head. And I don't know, there's just a lot that's just very memorable about how he acts and how he looks. So it's kind of hard not to be amused, even if the king is definitely not going to win any dad or king or god or whatever of the year awards. Lastly, it's another vibrant, colorful game, and I do love that style of game. It's also not just the colors, but it's just kind of the variety of sounds and actions, just kind of the whole style of the game. How animals and people will chase you if you're too small, or will run away if you're able to roll them up. You'll have police officers that'll like try to shoot your Katamari once you get too big to like, you know, are able to like roll them up and stuff like that. Like they'll try to shoot to kind of keep you away. It does, as far as I know, that doesn't really do anything to your Katamari, but it's just kind of those little quirky style things that just really kind of make things enjoyable and just add to the whole colorful, vibrant game that I really enjoy the style of. That it was just a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed the kind of style and kind of quirky things in the game and the reactions of some of the people and animals and stuff in it. It was just fun. So I really enjoyed Katamari Damacy REROLL. There are some aspects that felt a bit dated when compared to more modern Katamari games like Katamari Forever on the PS3, but those were only mild annoyances. I still really enjoyed the game and would recommend the game to anyone looking for something that is a bit different, but still quite a bit of fun. It's definitely a unique and quirky game that has some fun mechanics, colorful art style, and a great soundtrack. And these are all reasons why I'm giving it one of my gold stars. Have you played Katamari Damacy REROLL? If you did, what did you think about it? If not, does it look like a game that you'd be interested in? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on games that I recommend. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I make video game recommendation videos and other video game content, so feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you can easily find when I post new content. I want to help people find games that they'll love and enjoy playing by recommending games that I've enjoyed playing. So I hope you are all doing well, and we'll see you next time.